a little reflection. One of the things that I wouldn't say I ignored the most, but it had become such a constant companion. I didn't realize it was there, was a heaviness, a tightness in my chest. For years, it was there, but I had grown so used to it. I just thought it was normal. It didn't even faze me anymore that I felt this until I didn't feel it anymore. And so now, anytime I start to get anxious or worried, the tightness in my chest, the anxiety, the pressure, when I start to feel it, like, okay, that's not supposed to be there.
Welcome back to another episode of Girl, Get Your Groove Back. Today's episode is a powerful conversation about resilience, leadership, and what happens when life forces us to pause and reevaluate everything we thought success was supposed to look like. My guest today is Jeri-Ashley Bremer, an executive well-being and mindful leadership strategist who helps women navigate complexity and influence without sacrificing their health or their peace. But her work today evolved by something deeply personal, a breast cancer diagnosis that forced her to confront the toll of years of operating in high-pressure environments had taken on her nervous system. In this episode, we're talking about the wake-up call that changed everything, the lessons she's learned through motherhood and healing, and how she's helping women lead with composure, conviction, and sustained power. So let's get into it. Hey, y'all, and welcome to another episode of Girl, Get Your Groove Back. I am your host, Coach Jamila, and I'm so excited to have Jeri-Ashley on the show today. Jeri-Ashley, thank you so much for being here, girl.
Jamila, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on.
Yes. Well, we're going to dive in. I really am excited to just talk about your journey and your story. I'd love to start where you look back at your life and before your breast cancer diagnosis and the life that you live now. What feels the most different for you about the woman that you are today?
Whew. Before my breast cancer diagnosis, I would say I was living for other people, but trying to live for myself. So I think a lot of women struggle with this. And I know a lot of women struggle with this because I work with women. We get on this hamster wheel of trying to please other people. We're people pleasers. We want to keep the peace. We are always bending over backwards, prioritizing others' needs before our own. And it's it's a part of our culture. It's a part of a lot of our family dynamics and who we are, how we were raised. Even in the workplace, I see women, they are considered the go-to. Even women in leadership who don't have that type of time and capacity are still saying, yep, I'll take the project on. And that very much was how I was living my life, was trying to live for myself, my family, but still living for other people. After my diagnosis, I had this awakening, and I've had several, but really this moment of I can't keep living my life like this. This is not sustainable. And I've had several moments in life like that. When I became a mother, this is no longer sustainable functioning the way I was before having kids. And I had a second kid, and right, all these different milestones in life can lead you to a place where you're like, this is not sustainable. I don't know how I was doing it before, but I cannot continue on this way.
The sustainability. And you're right. Women tend to be people pleasers. We are by nature nurturers, and we have to nurture ourselves.
Hmm.
Have to give ourselves that self-care. Do you feel like self-care has shifted for you a little bit more also in this season of your life?
I would say self care has really evolved for me in this season of life, where I used to say yes to things lovingly, especially as a mother. You know, the kids ask for one more book, for a couple more minutes. And I love bedtime routine, for example. But in not listening and honoring my capacity and at certain moments in time, I was betraying myself. And so self care really has shifted in that very one specific way. It's no longer saying yes when I know I'm out of capacity, when I'm out of juice when that window of tolerance is closing and I cannot take another even 2 minutes at bedtime. I just let them know, "I love you. I know you want this time, and I have to make sure that I am taking care of myself as well. So I'm gonna have to say, not tonight, tomorrow night or later this week when I'm feeling a little more rested, renewed, when I have a little more capacity and in me to give, I'm more than happy to read another book, stay a little bit longer." And so that has really expanded beyond just being a mother and into my coaching and consulting as well.
That is such a great reminder because I remember when my kids were little, I would fall asleep while I was reading them a book. And they're like, "Mommy, mommy." I'm like, "Oh, I was so exhausted." And I feel like
Mm,
moms of little ones, we have to give ourselves grace. And I also think your kids remember. I remember my mom, she was like, "I can't today. I love you." But it's not in a bad way. It's like, I remember my mom took care of herself. She set time aside for herself. I think that's so important for us to show our children that
absolutely.
they don't carry that on as adults when they have their own children. Another thing that I wanted to bring up is I remember hearing somebody say self-care is not just bubble baths and going to the spa. She said it's tending to your heart.
Mm,
To your heart is self-care, being reflective, having that time. I was like, oh, that's it. That is so true.
yes.
So I'd love to hear too, just on your journey of, the breast cancer diagnosis, I can only imagine how scary that was. How have you tended to your heart more so today?
Yeah. So tending to your heart, I think that's such a beautiful way to think about self-care because you are correct. It's not necessarily the bubble baths or the wine or spa day. And I say that's what a lot of people see, and it doesn't feel sustainable. We do these things and then we leave that moment and we still feel depleted. It just wasn't enough, and it's because that actually isn't self-care. So tending to my heart, my soul has been such a huge part of this journey, making sure that I am taking time to slow down, to rest, to give myself space to think and really just be and experience life without trying to rush through it. My husband and I were actually having a conversation just this weekend about he plays this game called Final Fantasy. It's an old game, but we were listening
Yeah.
to this girl talk about the game, how a lot of games now, if you're a gamer, or a spouse of someone who is a gamer, or you have kids who are gamers, a lot of the games are you climb up. So you can essentially level up. And I thought about it kind of like the corporate ladder. Everyone is trying to climb the corporate ladder. We're all trying to go up. But what I'm really focused on right now isn't necessarily going up. Yes, I'm, growing my business and doing all these things, but shifting that to this horizontal space where I'm at a place where I feel good in my career, my business, and I'm expanding outward. I'm being more present with my kids. I'm doing things with my friends that aren't just going to dinner. I love a good dinner, I love a good coffee, but doing things that are soul nourishing, going on a walk out in nature, having these deep and meaningful conversations, only saying yes to spaces that pour into me or that I feel I have something to pour into. And so, really, when I think about that, tending to your heart, I think about this shift from always, leveling up to becoming.
Yes, I love that. And I love saying yes to things that pour into you or you feel that you can pour into. Makes a huge difference. So I'd love for you to talk to us a little bit about when you got the diagnosis, what was going through your mind, what prompted you. Was it just a routine mammogram? I'd love to hear a little bit about that journey.
Yeah. So, my breast cancer diagnosis came actually because I had my annual with my OB. I've known her, it's 2026, so I've known her for years, almost 10 years at at this point.
Yeah,
We're friends. And
right.
so I had my annual. She knows a lot about my history. She delivered both of my babies and she said, "I see something here. It's not abnormal given your family history though. consider going to get a genetics test so that way if something does show up, we can plan accordingly. So I went to go do a genetics test and everything came back as it should. There were no red flags, but given my family history, my mom had breast cancer. I have a cousin who had breast cancer, prostate cancer, ovarian cancer, just a lot of things in my family. And so the nurse who did my testing advocated for me to go do an MRI. She advocated for me to go get an MRI. So I went to go get the MRI. It showed dense breast tissue in my right breast. Again, not abnormal, dense breast tissue. It can be pretty typical. But again, given my family history, she said, I want you to go get a mammogram, an ultrasound, and a biopsy. And so mammogram didn't show anything. The ultrasound didn't show anything. It was the biopsy that showed early stage breast cancer. And so at that point, so this happened in July of 2024 is when I had gone for my annual. That August, September, I went to go do the genetics testing. The MRI was winter of 2024, and then January 2025 I was like on this high. My husband and I had just kind of made some decisions for the year for how we were going to be moving forward. I was feeling good. I won a branding photo a branding photo shoot. We went to South Carolina for my birthday, and when I came back, that's when I had those tests done at the end of January. And then about a week later, February 2025 is when she called and she said, we did find something. It's pretty small. It's early on. And everything from there just moved so quickly, so fast. And I mean, in hindsight, it didn't have to, but I was like, I just want to get it over with
Yeah.
is really how I was feeling. I just want to get it over with. I felt really blessed that we caught it early. I had good health insurance. I had short-term disability because it was just something I got every year. We have great surgeons here in San Antonio in my backyard up the street. People travel here to come to the surgeons and this particular reconstruction center from not just out of different cities, but they come from outside of Texas. So I felt really blessed. Like this is awful, but this really felt like the best case scenario for a less than ideal situation. And I found a lot of peace in that.
First of all, shout out to the nurse who
Yeah.
advocated for you like that, because I feel
Hmm.
like most people would be like, well, they don't see anything. So
Yeah.
great. Imagine if you had not got
Yep.
all these additional tests. That is huge. Like, I love it when we have people in the medical field who are like, no, I need you to go do that MRI. Actually, I need you to go do that biopsy. I need you to do that, like all these things. So
Yep.
shout out to her for
Mm.
that.
So I've had a lot of women in my network who are like, thank you so much. Maybe they're in their 30s, but it's something that is prevalent in their family history as well. I went ahead and just scheduled a mammogram. I went ahead and, took this step, and it's so empowering, especially, I mean, it ran in my family, but I didn't even think about going to do any of this. Thank goodness also for my shout out to my OB who said, "Hey, why don't you consider going to get it for this thing?" And she said, "You can also see other markers." And that just very blessed that the nurse advocated for me to get those things and said, because of your family history, right? It wasn't just, you know what, you're good. And I thought about that. What if it had been another year, 2 years, 3 years?
Oh my
Because
God.
again, nothing showed in the mammogram, nothing showed in the ultrasound. How much further along would it have been? And I'm, again, just so blessed because I didn't have to, at least at this point, I haven't had to do chemo or radiation. When they did the surgery and took some lymph nodes to test, the lymph node biopsy came back clear. And so right now, the only thing that I'm continuing to do as part of my treatment is some hormone therapy, hormone pills, because it was
Yeah.
estrogen positive. So I also didn't know that there are different types of breast cancer, like how it actually forms.
So you learned a lot on this journey, I'm sure.
Oh my gosh, so much.
And I think too, like I've partnered with a functional medicine doctor, and she's a huge advocate of CT scans, which is
Mm,
pretty much like a scan, because if you have dense breast, the mammogram is probably not going to show anything.
Yeah.
The listeners out there, CT scans are great if you want to really get a full picture of what's going on. So, wow. So that is awesome. So many people are scared of breast cancer. I mean, I will tell you, even myself, when you hear breast cancer, it's like, oh my gosh, like that's so scary. But I think there's so much science and research on it now that as long as we are doing our part as women, they can, well, men too, because they can get it too, but
Yeah,
it can be
absolutely.
so much better to do your part so that you don't go into full force
Yeah, and
breast
it's so much more advanced, like you said, the research out there, even the techniques and things that they do. So I had a double mastectomy and a deep flap. So they take the tissue, they look at different parts of your body that they can take some tissue to place in your breasts, and they connect whatever the blood vessels are. And so
cancer.
it crazy what they are able to do now.
It is. It is. I'm so glad that you are doing much, much better and that you went through and got the things that you needed to get. And you're staying consistent with the hormone pills, all that good stuff. Do you feel like during that season, considering you were like, I just came from South Carolina, I was on this high, my business is going good. Was it hard for you to slow down in that season? Did you keep things going? What did that look like?
So I did slow down during that time. I didn't realize how much it would impact my mental health. And as someone who works with women and I talk a lot about nervous system intelligence and mindfulness and caring for ourselves, especially women in leadership, women who are at the helm, women who are mothers and giving so much of themselves. I support them in making sure that they have the capacity to continue showing up how they want to show up. But I had to come to terms and admit that even though I am a well-resourced individual, I still needed help. I still needed support. So I found a program that was pretty close to me, and it was a mindfulness-based mental health program. And I did called a PHP, a partial hospitalization program. It sounds intense. It's not that. The most intense thing is the time commitment. It really is. We did yoga, we did talk therapy, CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. We had drum circles and group therapy, and we meditated. So a lot of things that I was already doing, but I just needed a different space. I needed more support. I need a container where I could be held. And so I did. I said, I'm just slowing down for these few months. And then I wouldn't say I was back at my peak, but I was doing much better than I was in that space I had created for myself. And it's wild in the seasons where I slow down and I allow myself to just be. That's typically when my business feels the most effortless. I have, new clients being referred to me and things just expand and grow. And that's kind of what happened in that season. I took time to slow down, just be, pour into myself. And when I was ready to start coming back, I had clients that were again referred to me or new commitments that were being made with existing clients. And I think it's just a testament to how powerful it is when we, especially as business owners, allow ourselves to really fully embody whatever it is that we are teaching and allowing ourselves to expand.
I love that. And I think one of the things that is coming to mind also is when we are in this like hustle mindset. I think a lot of women, entrepreneurs, we have this hustle mentality go, 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 go. But you said
Yeah.
something, slow down. It was interesting how your business was like still flourishing, you're getting referrals. What do you think that's about? Because I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs are listening to this. A lot of women entrepreneurs are listening to this. Talk about the importance of slowing down and how that actually can invite abundance in a sense.
Absolutely. So I'm in a season right now where I'm also where I'm slowing down again. And it's wild because when we are in that go, go, go hustle mentality, we start to become disconnected from our greater purpose, our why, our values. And so we start doing things that are out of alignment with what we initially set out to do. So I'm saying yes to this client, even though I don't really love this scope and it's not fully paying me, but I'm just going to say yes because it's a client. I'm committing to doing these things that I don't really have time and capacity for, but it's exposure. So we start saying yes to things that, here's our circle of mission, vision, values, our why, and all these things are out here. And we start expanding the circle to include these things that should not be included. And so when we take the time to slow down, it allows us to recalibrate, to realign, to recenter with the actual intention and purpose behind the businesses that we started to begin with.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Like that's speaking to me too as an entrepreneur, girl, because I think sometimes the dangerous part of entrepreneurship can be I need this
Mm,
client, right? I
yep.
need this. And so then you are, like you said, you're doing things out of alignment and you're just taking on things that may not be paying you well. Maybe it's not in your scope, but it's giving you income per se.
Mhm.
Do you feel like the breast cancer diagnosis pushed you to slow down? Do you feel like if it hadn't have happened, you would still be go, go, go?
I think the breast cancer diagnosis definitely pushed me to rethink where I was at because at that time I also still had a full-time job. And when I was in that job, when I took that job, I let them know I have a coaching and consulting business. I also have small children, so I'm going to need some flexibility. And it worked. It worked until it didn't work. And I had to come to terms with the fact that this job that I used to love so much and it helped me grow in so many ways was no longer serving me. And I didn't feel like I was able to show up as my best self because it was no longer in alignment with the mission, vision, values I have for my life and my business and how I show up. I had to release it. I had to let it go. So the diagnosis definitely has pushed me to just recalibrate on what's important, what I'm giving my time and energy and effort to. And so this past January 20th was my final day at my 9 to 5. Again, loved it for so long. It helped me grow so much. But in this season, I just had to say this is no longer sustainable. This is no longer where I'm meant to be. And again, the diagnosis really just pushed me to be more intentional with what I'm saying yes to and where I am spending my time. And it wasn't just the job, it was also wanting to be more present for my family, my kids, with all their events, Dr. Seuss week and field trips and making the Valentine's boxes and being able to attend the things that they have while still having the time and energy to pour into my clients. And I couldn't do that if I was still at a 9 to 5.
And then speaking of kids, how do you find balance or harmony as an entrepreneur, business owner, mother, wife? What do you feel has helped you find that harmony in a sense? Because balance, I think, is a little challenging, but harmony, I feel like, sometimes we may give more here and less there and vice versa.
Absolutely. So this has looked different in different seasons. When I had my second baby, my first birth baby, she was about a year and a half. And so the first couple of years were pretty, say like 2, 3 years were pretty simple in balancing it because in the evenings I put her to bed and while he was sleeping, it just felt effortless. I had my evenings that I could pour into my business and it's something that I enjoy doing. So it energized me. I didn't feel like I was missing out on other things. As I got a little older and they needed more from me, it had to change again. I had to reevaluate where I was giving my time, my energy. And I'm someone who, like I said, I would say yes to everything. I love serving my community. So yes to this board and yes, I will do this. And I had to pause and think, okay, is this in alignment with my mission, vision, values? And I had to start shifting my entrepreneurial mindset, my CEO mindset to say, this is overextending me. This isn't a place for me. And in business, you'll learn even sometimes when you want to give something from the goodness of your heart, some people just want to take and they don't want to give anything back. And so it was about that time that I was also learning that as an entrepreneur that some partnerships just want to take, they don't want to give. And so that there was that lesson in this season. So I'm in a new season where my kids are able to do a lot more on their own. My youngest will be 5, 6, and then my bonus kiddo is 15. They're our oldest. And in this season, again, it looks different. We have a pretty good rhythm going on. My husband and I, he has 2 dad nights every week. I have 2 mom nights, and my mom nights are typically reserved for if I have some of my client things are in the evening. So they're reserved for that, or for the boards I sit on, any board meetings or any events I have to attend to, my mom nights are reserved for that. And outside of that, my evenings, especially now that I don't have my 9 to 5, my evenings are reserved for the kids. Don't call me, don't text, don't call me, don't text me. I'm going to be, for the most part, chilling with the kids. I want to be present with them. And I feel so good in my soul when I can be fully present and enjoying their presence.
Yes. I love how you're talking about seasons because I talk to moms all the time, and I know you do as well, who are like, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. This is so much. And I'm like, this too shall pass, girl. This
Mhm.
too shall pass. It's not going to last like this. Enjoy it because it will go fast. Also, like that's the other side of it.
Yeah.
But also give yourself grace. Give yourself grace and find out what works for you in the season that you're in. Because
Yep.
I think we go into different seasons, continuing on doing, like you said, the same thing we were doing. And that's where the overwhelm comes. So
Mhm.
we have to shift. We have to realign. We have to look at the bigger picture and say, how do I need to make some adjustments in this season? And that's totally okay. So I think that's good. I think that's going to speak to a lot of listeners. It's okay to shift depending on the season that you're in. And
Absolutely. And I think
also,
normalizing that as women and mothers, we will always
yeah,
have seasons. There will always be seasons. And seasons isn't just with, the years when the dynamics in your family change because your kids are hitting a different milestone and your relationship with them changes, or you know what? Now they're in sports, and so our capacity looks different. I'm not a sports parent yet, but I have friends who are, and that's a whole other thing. That is a that's a
yeah,
full-time job in and of itself when you are a sports parent or a cheer mom. And so recognizing that seasons, the cyclical nature of being a woman and a mother, whether you're a business owner and you have a career that you've been creating and cultivating over the past several years. Sometimes we have seasons where there are multiple seasons in a year. We have times in our lives where there are multiple seasons in a year. It's not just one
yeah.
season. And when we can recognize that and lean into it, we are better equipped to show up as our best selves because we're being proactive and learning to be flexible within those seasons and ensuring that we're not getting overwhelmed
Yes. Overwhelmed and burnt out at the same
and
time.
burnt out. That's right.
Oh my goodness. Something that I always tell a lot of my clients as a health coach is I always say it's so important for us to listen to our bodies and to
Mm,
pay attention and really listen for the whispers because a lot of times people wait until their body is screaming and they have no choice. I
mhm.
know your story is different. Thankfully, you had a routine OBGYN, you had this nurse who was advocating for you. Do you feel like the way you listen to your body has shifted? Is there anything that has changed in terms of really paying attention to how your body is responding to life, to different things in general?
Yeah, so we as women tend to get to these places where we ignore the signs, and we ignore the signs that are health related because we do it with the most simple things. I need to eat, but I'm going to power through lunch, right? It's dinner time, but I have a lot of things on my mind. I have work I need to do. So we are already ignoring the most basic signs, our hunger needs when we need to go to the bathroom, when we need to sit down and rest or just rest, period. Not even sit down, but just rest, period. We have become so accustomed to ignoring those signs. It makes sense that when we have aches and pains in our body, it's fine. We ignore it. I shared a post. So I just hit 365. I recently hit 365 days post surgery, and I shared a post on LinkedIn, a little reflection. And one of the things that I wouldn't say I ignored the most, but it had become such a constant companion, I didn't realize it was there, was a heaviness, a tightness in my chest. For years, it was there, but I had grown so used to it. I just thought it was normal. It didn't even faze me anymore that I felt this until I didn't feel it anymore. And so now, anytime I start to get anxious or worried, the tightness in my chest, the anxiety, the pressure, when I start to feel it, like, okay, that's not supposed to be there. Before, again, it had been there for so long. I thought that's how it always was.
Oh
And
my
so
gosh.
similarly, the aches that we might have in our jaws, I get a lot of jaw clenching, the tightness in our shoulder, our back, our hips, all that discomfort that we've grown so accustomed to. It it's telling us something. And I hope that as women are listening to this, they know, do something about it. Go get it checked. And if someone won't listen to you, find someone else who will, because
Mm.
things like that aren't normal. And I think that's a whole other conversation, is the dismissal that women so often receive when we are experiencing things in our body until you find the right person.
Such a good word because, first of all, advocate for yourself, like you said, and go until somebody listens. Keep doing it. And sometimes I know a lot of women are like, that's exhausting. But at the end of the day, you deserve the care that you need. And it means that sometimes we do have to advocate for ourselves. And man, what you said, how we ignore things so often. I mean, I can attest to, girl, go eat lunch. But you're like, I gotta send one more email. Let me just, and then get caught up. And there's like, oh, wait, there's one
Yep.
more, and it's 5 o'clock and you haven't ate anything.
Mhm.
And then your head hurts and like, ooh, I'm a little lightheaded, you know? We've got to stop. We've got to stop doing that. And I know that's sometimes easier said than done, but I think it's so important for us to pay attention to the subtle things. And that's so interesting. So you didn't recognize the tightness in your chest
Mhm.
until it was gone. And now you're able to pay attention. So if it comes back, you're like, oh, okay,
Okay.
here we go. Let's
Pump
like
the
go.
brakes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So I know nervous system regulation is important to you. I love all things nervous system regulation.
It is.
Talk to me a little bit about that. How does that impact you in your personal life? How are you doing that in your business?
Absolutely. So people hear the word regulated or regulation and they think the point is to be calm. And while being calm is great, there's nothing wrong with being calm. You can be calm and still not be regulated. You can be calm and still not be regulated, because being regulated is about having the nervous system capacity to move through uncomfortable moments and situations, whether that is a moment in time or a season, because we are not meant to always be calm and happy and joyful. There are worlds inside of us, and we are meant to feel so much, and it can feel uncomfortable because for a lot of us, we grew up, don't cry. Or maybe you had a parent who worried a lot. And so as soon as you fell or something happened, they were trying to soothe you right away versus just letting you kind of feel through it. They're constantly trying to fix the emotions that you were feeling and experiencing. And so it's a skill that really has to be learned. So one way that I do this kind of in my home life, so speaking to the mamas out here, caregivers, is modeling that for my kiddos. I'm feeling really angry right now. I'm really upset. I need to get it out. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to roar. We'll scream together. Maybe it's some energy I need to move out of my body. I'm going to go for a quick run or hop on the Peloton, but I just need to get through what I'm feeling. And that's okay. I know this anger isn't going to last for forever. I know this sadness. Like, I'm just feeling really sad right now. Maybe I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why. And I'm modeling this for my kids. I'm not sure why. I'm going to cry it out. I'm going to let myself feel. I just want to be in my bed right now. Y'all are more than welcome to come lay by me, but I just need to feel through this. And so it's something that I model often for the kids and make sure I'm holding space for them as well. And I let them know, I'm not trying to fix your feelings. I'm not mad that you're upset about this. I'm not mad that you're screaming or crying or that you're feeling deeply about this. You feel what you need to feel. And it doesn't last very long. It is the wild thing. It actually doesn't last very long when we lean into it. And of course, right, there's anxiety and depression, and those things are different. But that nervous system work, that regulation is about building the capacity to feel through the discomfort of moments, of seasons, knowing that it won't last forever and we can support ourselves through that. And there's a lot of layers behind it when I get into then the career piece of things when I'm working with women who are in leadership. So now we're no longer talking about what's happening at home, we're talking about what's happening at work and the mindset, the beliefs that can trigger us to spiral and feel dysregulated because someone questioned us or because we feel like we're not enough, we're having self-doubt, we're experiencing these things that can throw our inner world into really out of whack. And so
Yeah.
how do we work on the mindset piece to support the nervous system regulation? So there's so many different layers of it, the fight, flight, freeze, and what triggers us to go into those states and what it looks like in the workplace might look different at home.
So good. I'd love to hear, even for the listeners, if you have an example of a career woman, maybe someone that you've worked with, or maybe even in your own personal life, who is spiraling or they're triggered by something. How would you encourage them to calm that nervous system or to regulate their nervous system?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of this, the work happens not just in the moment, the work happens outside of the moment. So for women in their careers, I invite you to think about what are some of those limiting beliefs you have about yourself. And you might not want to admit them out loud. That's okay. I see you. It's hard sometimes. My biggest one was I'm not enough. I'm not enough. Everything I do is wrong. I'll never be good enough. So it all kind of fell under this umbrella of I'm not enough. And so when I was able to do that work, identify that, I could start identifying moments and types of interactions that would trigger that. So being corrected in in the workplace could send my nervous system into a spiral because it fed that belief of I'm not enough, you're not good enough. Receiving feedback felt personal because it fed the story of you're not good enough, that internalized belief. So when you can start to identify, and sometimes it's identifying what are some of the things that trigger me, what is the story behind them. Sometimes it's easier to identify from that. When someone gives me feedback, when someone corrects me, when I feel like I'm not smart enough, sometimes those interactions can help you uncover that belief. And so when we can uncover that belief, we can start really rewiring the subconscious, and it's deeper than just, then we start rewiring the subconscious. There's work to be done there, but then you can start rewriting your narrative, the beliefs, what is
Yeah.
actually true.
Okay. The limiting beliefs, the mindset work, it's a journey for sure.
Mhm.
And it's an important journey that so many of us need to go on because the nervous system really controls even how you feel, like even your health at the end of the
Yes.
day. And so, like, I know a lot of people that I've worked with who have a dysregulated nervous system. They're not losing weight, for example. They're struggling with, releasing stress. Hormones are even
Mhm.
more heightened. And so nervous system regulation is so, so important. And so I love that you're talking about focusing on mindset work, and it's a journey. It's not just an in the moment type of thing as well. So thank you for sharing
Absolutely.
that.
And understanding like what is happening in our nervous system, to our nervous system when we go into the fight, flight, freeze, fawn, even sometimes building understanding around what is happening in that moment can help us make sense of what's going on, which for those of you who are anxious like me, having that knowledge really can help you kind of feel a little more at ease and build up that nervous system capacity and tolerance.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I want people to be able to find you. How can people find you? Anything that you want to share, Instagram, LinkedIn, email? And I'll drop it in our description
Yeah,
also.
absolutely. So on LinkedIn, you can find me at Jeri hyphen, that's Jeri hyphen Ashley Bremer. On my website is themindfulnessco.com, and I'll be sure to share that with you. And my Instagram is going to be going under some construction, but I will make sure that that link, once it's updated, is shared with you all as well. But right now, my LinkedIn is one of the biggest places I'm most active. Every Monday, I share a post called focused on a series that I have called the Unlearning Project, where we unlearn different internalized patterns that we have for ourselves as women, as mothers, as entrepreneurs. And every Wednesday, I post an article expanding on that on LinkedIn. So definitely give me a follow on LinkedIn, connect with me over there as well. And I'll also share a link where you can download one of my free resources and subscribe to my email list.
I'll make sure I have it in the description so y'all can easily find Miss Jeri-Ashley. I want to ask you too, the women that you have worked with, what do you feel has been the biggest struggles overall in entrepreneurship or motherhood? What stands out to you the most?
I would say the biggest struggle is, and I'll actually start with this. So, most women I work with are very similar to me. They're go getters, they're hustlers, they've moved up in their career, they love their career. It's important to them. Most of them are mission driven women. They're doing something because there's a purpose behind it. Immigration lawyers, executive directors, and CEOs of nonprofits. They are women who care about community. A lot of these women, they got to that place because they were go-getters. They were willing to do whatever it took to advance, the late nights, the saying yes, even when they were at capacity. And the biggest struggle is they are stuck in their masculine energy. Their biggest struggle is they are stuck in their masculine energy, and it is hard for them to shift into that feminine energy. And when I say that, I'm talking about that guilt for resting, the struggling to be mindful and slow down and be present. The things that got them to where they were are now harming them because they don't have the capacity. They are not the same woman they were when they started off. A lot of them are mothers. They're in a different season of life that is requiring something different of them. And the biggest thing that I see is that struggle to really merge the masculine and the feminine.
That's interesting, but I totally see that. And I don't think a lot of women know.
No.
They don't think I'm in my masculine energy.
No, they say I'm a go-getter, I'm a high achiever, a high performer. And there's nothing wrong with those. There's nothing wrong with those things. That is me. I'm type A. I'm also
Yeah.
a Capricorn. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with those things. Those things got me to where I am. Those are the things that help keep my business running. You need those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But but that with where I am right now in life, right? A mom, a
Yep.
wife, I sit on several boards, a community leader. I need a different paradigm. Something needs to look different for women like us. And
Yes.
it's that the coming together of the masculine and the feminine energy, the softness, the slowing down, the compassion, the being more mindful, the play and joy. I can't tell you how many women struggle with the joy and the play and the pleasure part because they're so busy over here always doing, they are not being.
Who they are not being. Okay. I love it because we have to slow down. And like you said earlier about the seasons of life, we have
Mhm.
to realign based on the season that we're in. Sometimes that can be hard if you're so used to go, 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 go. Thank you for sharing that. I'm curious to what would you say sustainable leadership looks like for your type of client, for the woman who's listening, who is the high achiever and the go getter and the hustler? What does sustainable leadership look like?
Sustainable leadership really looks like finding harmony between the different aspects of your life, your career, your family life, spirituality, whatever that looks like for you. In your relationships, your friendships, the financial piece as well. So taking all of that and making sure that the decisions you are making, and there might be some decisions we have to make where it compromises a little bit from one of the areas, but when you can find harmony within those, you are showing up at home as close to how you want, and you're showing up in your career, and you might not have a lot of friends, but you are showing up well in your friendships and relationships. We start to create this different model where it's not just, work is up here and then maybe family and then friends and spirituality, right? Like all the pieces. It's not a hierarchy. It's cyclical. It's a circle. And each component is kind of like a piece of the pie. And so when I'm looking at sustainable leadership, I'm looking at finding that harmony in the different aspects of life that are important to you. We're also looking at that nervous system intelligence, that regulation piece. So you can continue to show up with the capacity that you need when you are making hard decisions, when you are a woman who is responsible for $1 million, $1 million budgets, right? You have to have the sustainable success isn't just, life is good and great. It's can I actually hold everything that needs to be held in my world?
And be able to maintain it at
Mhm.
the same time,
Yep.
because we can get to a point and then it crumbles down. It's important for us to maintain all that as well. What excites you most about the work that you're doing right now?
So, like I had mentioned, I am in a season where I'm slowing down and I'm really thinking about what is this next season of my work specifically with women going to look like? So I'd say over the past couple of years, taken a step back from certain aspects of my coaching and focused a lot more on consulting, leadership development and strategy, executive well-being. So sharing here first, I'm working on um, I want to say a new and evolved is the evolution of my group coaching program and really refining the model that I use to support women and mothers in leadership. And so I'm really excited about this next phase. We're going deeper than I have in past cohorts with past clients. We're looking at nervous system intelligence. We're looking at internal system calibration. So building that internal capacity to match your external growth. We're looking at identity and alignment, creating that cohesion between your vision and your identity for embodied leadership, and really thinking about sustainable ambition architecture. So designing leadership structures that support long-term well-being and impact. And so I'm incredibly excited about this work that I'm doing and what it's going to look like, because I have also evolved as my business has grown. I've grown, but as life has changed and evolved, I've evolved with it. And so I'm excited to embed these new learnings into really these new learnings from like a place of embodiment, not just I read this and here it is, but really from a place of embodiment and experience, and sharing that with other women and creating a container for them to be held and to really step into the women that they want to be, that they were meant to be, so they can show up well in their careers and their businesses and with their families as well.
Oh my gosh, this is awesome. I'm so loving the deep dive of the inner work, which I think is essential for growth and evolution. I heard this quote, and it was basically saying, whatever you do in private, fiercely, you do it in private will reward you in public. Like,
Mm.
and so I think, like you said, to be able to embody these things, not just, I read this, so you should do this, but I am actually doing this. I am practicing what I preach. It's so much more powerful to me. So I'm so excited for you. And I think all of you who are listening should definitely follow and check out Jeri-Ashley. I want to do a rapid fire round.
Okay,
It's
let's go.
super fun. And it's basically like the first thing that comes to your mind, go for it.
Okay.
The first one is, what is one word that your kids would use to describe you?
The boss.
Ooh, what do the kids do?
Mhm.
The boss,
The
period.
boss, period. Mom's the boss is what they always say. I'm like, we're partners. Just want to make that clear. This is a partnership. My husband says you all are part stakeholders, but we are majority stakeholders. So everybody's a
I like
stakeholder in this
that.
house.
I like it. Okay. Okay. What is a daily habit that keeps you grounded?
Whew. Um, some type of physical movement, stretching. I've been Pelotoning. I haven't done weightlifting in a while, but we have some weights here at home. I've been doing weightlifting. So moving my body, even if it's just stretching, even if it's only for a couple of minutes,
Come
movement.
on. Movements. I love it. Okay. A book every woman should read.
You Can Change Your Life by Louise Hayes. Uh-huh. You Can Change Your Life. Yes, absolutely. So good. She has exercises in there for women to do. It's a great read, I think specifically for people who are wanting to change their lives but are struggling with that identity piece and they need to be eased into it a little bit. I think that's a good one.
I love her. I love listening to like her affirmation. So say the book title one more time.
Okay, You Can Heal Your
Okay.
Life by Louise Hay.
You can heal your life. Okay. Now check it out. If you had a full day with zero responsibilities, what would you do, girl?
Easy. I did this the other did this the other week. I did still have responsibilities, but I went for a walk in the morning with I dropped the kids off. I came home, I made a matcha. I went on a walk with one of my girlfriends for about an hour. We talked about life. Then I came home and one of my clients, who is also a dear friend of mine, she was in from LA. So she came over and we talked about next steps and business strategy. And when she left, I had time to work out and I did a couple of things that just sparked joy for me and went to go pick up the kids. My husband said, "It was so beautiful seeing you live out your perfect day in
Mm.
real life." He said, "You look so energized."
Of that. And sometimes it's just the simple things that we take for granted, I think, like the nature walks, talking to your girlfriend. I love all of that. Okay. How can we get more of those days in? Right? Shoot.
Yes, and that's where that alignment piece comes in because when you are so crystal clear on your mission, vision, values, and you start taking aligned action, those things just start happening. Part of my vision was working with my 5-year vision was working in collaboration with friends and community partners that I wanted to work with that were in alignment with my mission, vision, values, and she's one of them. Hands down, she's one of them, but if I had not set that out for myself, I don't think it would have happened.
Come on. We have to set the intention. And it's something that has been happening, I'll share real quick too, is in my prayer time, I've been praying for God to connect me with divine
Mm.
connections, divine friendships and connections. And girl, let me tell you, it has been so, I don't even want to say crazy because it's just a spiritual thing, but I have loved people like coming into my life and I'm like, this is divine. This, what in the world? Like, we are so aligned, you know.
Yep.
And you're thinking about you, like the nervous system regulation and all that. I'm like, Jerry,
Mhm.
come
Like my
on.
husband's been saying, prayers answered. You
Yeah.
ask and you put it out there, you ask him and he will answer.
Maybe not when you want him, but it will happen.
But in divine time, he
And
will
divine,
answer.
come on. That's it. That's it. Well, my closing question for you, Miss Jerry Ashley, is if there is a woman listening right now who feels stretched thin and feels like she's carrying the weight of everyone else, what would you want her to hear today?
I would want her to know that she is destined for so much more. The state of overwhelm, the anxiety, the being in this place is not what was destined for her. There is so much more out there. All she has to do is be open to receiving what has already been planned and created for her. And so, my call to action for you, if that is you, if you are listening, is to take one step, do it consistently. Doesn't have to be this grand 30-minute, 60-minute thing. One small aligned action every day. And if it's the same small aligned action every day for a week, 2 weeks, a month, do it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being vulnerable and unapologetic and sharing your journey. I appreciate you, and I know the listeners appreciate you. Thank you for being on. Girl, get your groove back. And till next time.
Thanks, y'all.
If today's conversation resonated with you, I hope it served as a reminder that success should never come at the cost of your health, your peace, or your well being. Jeri-Ashley's story is such a powerful example of what can happen when life forces us to pause and reevaluate the way we're living, leading, and carrying responsibility. So many women are used to being the strong one, the one holding everything together. But as we heard today, sustainable leadership starts with learning how to listen to your body and honor your capacity. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to share it with another woman who may need to hear this message. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to Girl, Get Your Groove Back so you don't miss any more conversations with women who are rewriting the rules of success, leadership, and life on their own terms. And if today's episode sparked something in you, if you're realizing it might be time to reset, realign, or start prioritizing your well-being in a deeper way, I'd love to connect with you. You can learn more about my work at my website and book a holistic transformation consult at the link in the description below. Until next time, remember, taking care of yourself is not selfish. And sometimes getting your groove back finally starts when you listen to what your body has been saying all. Until next time, to good health, y'all. Coach Jamila.